how you perking? I hope you're perking good. So, highly requested video here today with the Tucker Carlson interview with President Vladimir Putin in Russia. So, that was quite a big thing. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, screw Tucker for this, screw Putin for this, bad, whatever. I've heard other people be like, this is great, we need to hear both sides, yada yada yada. I've heard that the interview is over 2 hours long, so of course I have not watched it at all. But I'm here to get to the bottom of some questions that y'all have on this. And a lot of times y'all prefer when I respond to some questions relatively cold, having not watched the interview myself and things like that. Some people feel like it has less potential for bias or less potential for muddying the waters any kind of way. So we're gonna jump right into this and see what kind of answers we can find out to these questions. Let me go ahead and say some of the questions I have down here. Why did Tucker Carlson want to do this interview? Why did Putin allow this interview? Was Tucker in any way, profiting, like being paid to directly, some kind of a way to do this interview? Is there anything about this dynamic that we need to be aware of, that we need to know? Is there anything kind of behind the scenes that's a little bit weird that we need to know about this? Just basically giving us some context and details around this that could be useful to know, because people have very strong opinions in lots of different directions here. So we're going to get to the bottom of some of these questions here on this channel. Of course, I am a licensed mental health clinician as well as a spiritual intuitive, and we take a look at the tea with the tarot. Please don't be scared and run away, because we have a very good track record here on the channel. So you might want to give it a chance. There's a reason 10,000 other people have. So, anywho, let's go ahead and get into this. I am going to pull up the cards over here and move this microphone right here. Oh, Penelope and her little pinks, matching me and my pink. And it's got a heart, because we are getting so close to Valentine's Day at the time of filming this. Again, I know you're not going to see it right away, but here we go. It is 1:17 on February 13th, so a day before Valentine's Day on February 13th. I don't know what day this video is going to be able to make it up. I'm going to try to get it up same day, but the YouTube-y things, we'll see if that is able to happen. So let me go ahead and get shuffled up here. And of course, as always, especially with this reading, everything here is all alleged, just my interpretation. Okay, all alleged, just my interpretation. Okay. Have to say that to make the YouTubes happy as well. So this is kind of a big topic here. I'm going to do my best to be fair and balanced in this, as I always try to do. And as I always ask of y'all, you're allowed to have whatever your opinions are. You're allowed to voice whatever your opinions are. I just ask that you do so, politely, civilly, with tact and compassion for each other. We don't usually have a problem with that on the channel, and I don't want to start today. So yeah, keep up the nice way of speaking with each other and amongst each other and about the reading and about your opinions and all that kind of stuff. Keep up the energy that y'all have had for the last 4 years. Loving it. I appreciate it. And I don't say that lightly. Like, I've seen the vitriol on some people's comments, and so I really do appreciate that y'all don't do that here. I mean that. So let's go ahead and get right on into this. Jump right on in. And just start out with, in terms of Tucker Carlson, Why did he do this? He may have said already, I believe he made mention as to why he did this, about wanting to get both sides or things of that nature. But I want to ask, why did he do this? I want to see if this differs from what he said. You know, are we going to get the same answer here of why he told us he did the interview? So let's see. Why did Tucker Carlson do the interview with Putin? Okay. Very interesting here. So on face value, just kind of how it's starting out here, this justice card does show kind of what I think he said. And again, I didn't watch it, so I'm just going off of people said he wanted to get both sides. So if he never actually said that, I apologize. I'm going off of what people have said. People have said that he wanted to get both sides. I do see that being the case here so far on this first bit. We've still got all this to go, but I do see if he said that, that is true, that he's like, hey, we've got to get, you know, both messages out, and then people can decide for themselves which message is true, which message is false. Is there a mix where both messages are partly true and both messages are partly false from both sides? You know, what do we think? Just kind of giving people that ability. I do see that as being one of his reasons. However, I do see more reasons than just that. They stuck that out here as first and foremost. So I do see that this could be his number one reason. It very well could be his primary reason, but I do see more than that. So I don't know if he made mention that there were other reasons why he wanted to do this. I just happen to see that there were allegedly, just my interpretation, other reasons why he chose to do this. The Six of Wands being one of them. Okay, so this card is like success, confidence. I went into battle and I won and I did the thing, and you know, so this is someone who feels very confident and very like, yes, it's me, I'm the one that, you know, whatever. There is a potential hint. I'm not trying to talk bad about Tucker. I've got nothing against him. I was not someone that watched his show regularly on Fox, and I don't watch his Twitter/X/ whatever it's called stuff now, but I'm also not one that has ever hated on the man. But this card gives a little tad of, forgive the word, but grandiosity. So there is a little bit of I think I'm the one that has some good questions. I'm the one that's capable. I'm the one that can get this out here. I'm the one that can do this. There's a little bit of that going on. Now, some might say that's just confidence, and that's a good thing. And I think that that's a fair argument if that's what people want to say. Some people might describe this as like, oh, wow, you're really, you know, into yourself and wanting you to, you know, be thought of as the, you know, brave and out there journalist that'll go where no man has gone before. And that's a little, you know, over the top and into yourself. And that's a fair argument too. So you can take this however you will. Be kind to people who disagree with your approach to that. I'm just seeing here that this is a confidence card, erring on the side of grandiosity here in terms of kind of some potential directions because of this Nine of Cups in reverse, which is obviously, you know, when someone pisses in your cornflakes. So we know that by getting booted off of Fox and having to kind of go his own route, that was a potential setback or hardship or challenge, road bump in his life. It could have been, some people say, well, this is the best thing to ever happen to him, for him to be released from that. Maybe that's true, but nonetheless, that was a hard thing to have for someone to have to go through in life, and wanting to come back from that solidly strong. He's thinking like, this is the way that I do that. This is how I come back from that solidly strong. And so I don't get known for the guy that got booted off of a network. I get known for the guy that blazed the trail in a time and place where others did not. And so there's some, God, when things come up in my mind and I always say what I get, I can't squeeze what I don't see out of the cards, but I do always say what I see or always say the words I get. So I am sorry for saying the words I'm getting right now, but there is a slight, at least some sort of, masking potential insecurities too with this. Again, I'm not hating on the man if it sounds like I am. I really am not. We all as humans have insecurities. Literally all of us, even confident people, have certain insecurities, and that's valid and that's fair. We're allowed to have those, okay? So I'm not hating on him, but there is some kind of this is a comeback type of vibe here. So I'm just trying to put that out, trying to be fair about it. That shows in these as well. Here's my silver linings. I've been working on this for a while, so I don't think that he reached out for an interview and got it like same week. This would make me think it's been a long time. Like, this isn't even an upright guy. He takes a long time when he's upright. He's reverse, which means it takes even a longer time. I would be suspecting that he's been trying to get this interview for like more than a year, maybe more than 2. Like, this is a long time that he's been going at this. And so it's kind of like, yeah, he's always been wanting this, but then after these things happen in his life, like, accelerator, press the accelerator. We got to make sure this happens. Like, I've been wanting this, I've been aiming for this, I've been trying for this, but we got to get a date. We've got to set it up. We've got to make sure this happens. Like, I'm really gunning for it now, kind of thing. And again, a lot of people would claim that that's fair and valid. Hermit card in reverse, again, thought about this for a very long time. So there's a lot of thought that went into this for him, for Tucker. So it seems like, yes, he wants to get a balance out there of, you get to hear President Zelensky's side, and now you get to hear President Putin's side. And so it does seem like that is a big part of this for him, maybe even primary because it came out first. But it would be dishonest of me to not show that there were a lot of personal motivations where he was hoping that this helps him in a very personal and professional way, and that there's a lot of that under here. You've always heard about the tip of the iceberg where, yeah, here's the tip, but then under the surface, the rest of the iceberg is down here. Here's the tip, here's the rest of the iceberg. So there's a considerable amount of iceberg here devoted to personal and professional reasons for wanting this interview. And here, this kind of fairness, journalistic integrity, ideological stuff, whatever, up here. And then here's the rest of this. So I'm just putting out as I see it. So that's the first bit. But let's see how this compares to, why did Putin go through with this interview? Why did he want it? Why did he allow it? Why did he do it? What's going on his end here? And then we'll kind of dig in past there. So as I pull these up and get shuffled, I want to remind everybody that we do have a Perk Squad here. We might end up going into a Perk Squad extended video here today, and that's when we start running over time with all the things that we're trying to get through here, and so we do a little bit of extra in a Perk Squad extended video, so we may be doing that today. Also, sometimes there's really touchy questions that I just would not be allowed to to have monetized here on YouTube, and so sometimes the Perk Squad gives us a good place to do those. So if you're interested in being a member of the Perk Squad, the blue join button down below is where you can find that, or the link in the description box, that's there too. And one of the perks to the Perk Squad are video shout outs, or is one of the perks is, okay, grammar police is video shout outs. So shout out to you, Keisha West, and thank you for being a member of the Perk Squad. Happy to have you here, Keisha West. So shout out to you, and thank you for being a member of the Perk Squad. So let's see. Where is the rest of this going to take us? I'm really kind of scared to ask about the Putin part, because it's such a heavy question with like a lot of responsibility. So I'm going to remind everyone that this is all alleged, just my interpretation. Okay. And we're going to see where this leads about why he did this. Ooh. All right. So let's just jump right all in. Why did he do this? Why did he allow this? Why did he want this? You know, going at this question on Putin's side. And by the way, the request for this reading came up multiple times, but there was one person in particular that reminded me to do it today. I do not know if she would want an actual shout out, but if you know who you are, your name starts with an S. I don't want to put you on blast in case you didn't want your name out there. But just had a private reading with you, and you asked about this. And so because it hits very personal with you from where you're from on that side of the world. And so I just want to say a special shout out to you as well. Thank you for prompting me to do this reading today, and big hugs to you as well. So just wanting to put that out there, wanting to preserve anonymity in case, you know, people didn't want their name out here. So in terms of Putin's side, first thing that comes up is the Strength card in reverse. What is the reverse of Strength? Weakness. That is not a word, like I could just feel my body recoil as I said that right now, because that is not a word that he would use to refer to himself or his administration or his country or anything about him. I am sure that Putin would not want the word weakness associated with him in any way. And I don't want to call him that. And I am not calling him that. I am saying that there is some sort of what he would consider weakness internally, whether he's would admit to that or not, externally, that made him be like, yes, I will allow this, I will take this on. That being said, the Lover's card in reverse. So upright, this would be a true partnership. So the interview being a true partnership. In reverse, this is not a true partnership. And this is silver linings. And this is pushing things full speed ahead. And so there is a feeling here from him. And again, this is probably sounds like a slam again on Tucker, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm slamming the man. You know, he's obviously done more than I could do in my lifetime, but this looks, I'm so sorry. This is, you know, I feel bad for saying this, but this looks like, yeah, I'll have this interview because this isn't a two-way street. I can do this how I want. There's my silver linings to this, and I can push forward full speed ahead how I want. So it's kind of like, I will do this interview with Tucker because too easy to do it my way. Too easy to have it how I want. Too easy to not make this a solid, fair partnership. It's almost like, oh God, the things that come in, you know, that I always say what I see, and I always say what I get, but some things just feel harsh. But I literally got a picture in my mind of, like, you know, a tool in a tool shed. Like, I can use you. You're a good tool. You're an easy tool for me to use. I'm very familiar with how to do this kind of thing. And so, I guess I don't have to explain that. I guess that kind of explains itself. It doesn't feel to me like Putin respects Tucker Carlson very much. Now, I don't know if he respects people at all. I don't know. You know, people bad talk him all the time. And so, you know, they make it sound like, yeah, he has no respect for anybody but himself. And that may be true. That may be true. I don't know if that's true about Putin or not. I don't want to, unfairly say that, but I will say that I am not seeing him trust or respect Tucker very much. And that he felt like that of people that would interview him, this one would be easier for him, or, that kind of thing. I do see here for people who were asking, like, would there be money involved, like to or from Putin or Tucker related to this, like anybody paying anybody off on something, or anybody, offering something, tangibly, monetarily, financially, or whatever in this to incentivize this interview to happen, or to happen a certain way. I do not see that here at all. So if anybody thinks someone was kind of on payroll to get this to happen, or there was any kind of fiscal incentive for, this to happen in terms of a direct relationship of, I get paid by you for this, or you get, those kinds of things, I am not seeing that here. So I know some people have wondered that, and I'm just not seeing that here. Again, all alleged, just my interpretation, okay? I'm just not seeing that here. King of Swords in reverse again. Oh, this sounds bad, but I mean, this is a confused person. And so it's like Putin saying, like, yeah, he's confused. He doesn't have all the facts. I have the facts. I'm not confused. And so I can set the record straight. So it feels very much like Putin felt like, I can kind of control how this goes. I can kind of say what I want. I don't actually respect this person. I can use this person like a tool in my tool shed. This person is confused. I can correct this person. I can give him the facts. I can tell him what the actual facts are. And I want people to know the facts. So it feels very much like that. I feel like the Tucker question we just asked kind of wrapped itself up fine, and it was fairly well contained within the 6 cards we pulled, whereas this feels like there's quite a bit more depth to it, a little bit more going on kind of behind the scenes, or like under the hood, so to speak. So I'm going to keep pulling on this for a little bit more, because it doesn't feel like we've unearthed all the things that Putin may have been thinking here about why he chose to do the interview, why he chose to allow it, why he wanted to do it, etc. So I think we're going to pull a little bit more on this, because it kind of feels like we've only dipped our toe in, and that there's more. So let's hydrate for a second, y'all. Always stay hydrated, especially when shit gets intense. And for good measure, let me bring my little black salt bag. Have that over here for protection and good measure. And let's shuffle one more time. Trying to have y'all be able to see the shuffle without messing up the cards. And let's see what else here may have been on Putin's mind relative to agreeing to this interview some type of way. So let's see here. Man, I'm sweating. This is intense. Woo! Y'all saw that flippity flippity flippity, right? Y'all saw that. I'm going to place it right here, right the way it landed. Yeah, so, oh boy. Okay, so setting the cards down right here, you can see, putting black salt in hand, and we're gonna start digging through all this extra context. I feel like my neck feels very tight right now, and tense. And part of that I think is nervousness. And part of that I think is, this area is associated with the throat chakra. The throat chakra is expressing truths, getting things out there. So if there is a tensioning of that, that's another reason why I've got my black saw here. So what I'm seeing here is that this is like the opposite of a happily ever after if we see this card in reversed. So Putin sees what's going on right now is the opposite of a happily ever after. He has some idea of what a happily ever after would look like, and he feels like the opposite of that is happening. It is making him very emotionally upset. I know some people are like, he doesn't have emotions, whatever. He has emotions. I see upset here. I see upset. And I even see the Queen of Wands in reverse. And that's kind of crazy here to see this in reverse. Because again, he is seen as a very powerful individual. And, rightly so. Anybody that is the president of a major country, they're worth their weight in salt some kind of way. Okay. I'm not taking that away from him, but with this Queen of Wands being in reverse, there is a wounded positioning here. And what concerns me about this card mostly is our black cat up there, because that's who I refer to as Great Mystery. And that is a mysterious side here that I have a hard time trusting in this. That's the kind of energy of, how like when people are, I know this is a bit tangentially related, but it's where my brain is going. But how when people are like, ooh, Scorpios are scary because they're dark. I have no idea what his signs are. I don't know if he has any Scorpio in his chart whatsoever, but I'm just going off of this Great Mystery thing. How people will say like, oh, there's Scorpios that are freaky because they can present one way on the surface and say one thing when really there's something actually going on here in the undercurrent that you'll never know about, because they're have such a good way of disguising that. Whatever that ability is, he has that too. Again, regardless of if there's any Scorpio in his chart whatsoever, that doesn't even matter. It's just that kind of a energy of like, hey, you don't know, do you? And I like that you don't know, and I'm keeping that here for a reason or whatever. And that is intimidating. So if that's something that he employs intentionally to be intimidating, it's effective. It's effective. That makes me nervous. It looks like he really does think that if he got his way, that we would turn this happily ever after reversed card into an actual happily ever after. It looks like he really does think that if he got his way, it really would make everything better. So, in some kind of a way, I see that he believes that. The fact that we're getting our Empress in reverse and our Eight of Cups upright, this is, again, I'm trying to plant seeds, but they're not growing. And, there's something that's walking away here. And it feels kind of like, hey, my messaging hasn't been getting out there in the way that I need it to get out there. And I need to walk away from that and get things back straight. So there's a sense of, there's a sense of, ooh, I hate saying these things that come up. This is really tough for me. I'm sorry. I'm doing this quote unquote live, as in I'm filming here without editing what I'm saying. And so whatever words come up are the words that come up, but it's kind of like, I'm trying to plant seeds so that y'all over there, America, the West, whatever, so that y'all will hear what I have to say, and for my seeds to grow on your soil. In other words, like I need y'all to hear me and to understand this my way, or else, I've got to walk away from whatever this baggage is. Like y'all need to see this, or else never mind with you kind of thing. It's almost like this is a it's almost like this is a last ditch effort for people to come around and see it his way kind of thing before he washes his hands of trying to change people's minds. You know, it just feels so uncomfortable to say, but y'all know whenever you're like, say you're in a relationship with someone and you're like, okay, I'm going to tell them how I feel one more time. I hate repeating myself, and I feel like I've had to tell them this same thing over and over, or I feel like I've had to try to get them on my page before and it's not working. I'm going to try this one more time, and they need to see it my way. And if they don't see it my way, that's it. I'm out of the relationship. I'm walking away. You do you, and you get to accept the consequences for you doing you. There's a vibe like that here, but like as if he's saying that to us over here sitting in the West, sitting in the States, things like that. So there's something here that feels veiled to me. I don't like using that word, but it feels that way. So we've got that there. I feel like we still need to pull more. Oh my gosh. So yeah, there's definitely, after all this, we're definitely going to end up with a Perk Squad extended video today, because there's no way, we're already a half hour into this, and I feel like I still got to pull more on this question. And there's probably potentially other questions still that could be asked. So we're probably going to end up with an extended video today. But let's go ahead and see another draw on kind of where they're going here with, Putin and where he's at in terms of this interview, as I sweat to death in here. Overfilling. Really. Okay, so my sand, black salt back in my hand. There you go. So yeah, I'm mixing up salt in hand. Y'all see how nervous I am? I'm like, I tried to be perky with the holiday thing, Valentine's. It's not a thing right now. Yikes. See what happened to that heart? Don't want that to happen to this heart right here. So what this looks like is there's no two ways to read this. It's kind of how he's seeing it. Like, no, people that are trying to see this Zelensky's way, or people that are trying to see nuance in this, there's no nuance. What I say makes sense, and you should just know that. Like, that's how it feels from his energy. And here with the Seven of Cups, like, this is all kinds of things jumbled up. And right next to this Queen of Cups in reverse, and here we've got this Three of Swords upright, Four of Cups upright, Page of Wands in reverse. This kind of feels like, oh gosh, here we go again. I just feel like I keep getting stuck in kind of a hard place here, and saying these things, but I'm doing it. So again, all alleged, just my interpretation. But this feels very much like if I give them, this fact, then I can explain my context my way relative to this fact. And so then I give them this fact and I explain my context my way relative to this fact. And so, like, have you ever talked to somebody where you're like, you know what? In a way, they're not lying, because they technically are giving me certain facts, but how they're seeing it and how they're contextualizing it and how they're explaining it is a little bit of a slant fit here, is a little bit of a, I don't know if I would see it quite that same way, but the basis there was a fact. There's some kind of something like that going on. Like, there's a bunch of, like, let me root this in a fact, but I can put a spin on it, or an interpretation on it, or a context on it in a certain way. And so it's like it's not lying, but it is. Does that make sense? I'm sure, we've all met someone who may have done something like that, or we ourselves may have done something like that, where we're like, technically this part's true, I'm just, these things around it, I kind of white light around this, or I kind of, stretched or exaggerated on that, or I kind of spun it this way so that people would receive it the way I want them to receive it. But technically at baseline, it's true. There's something like that going on here. And it seems like I genuinely cannot tell if he is aware of that or if he just believes that. Like some people will do that, and they're doing that knowing that they're kind of putting a fact there and telling a fib because there's something they want to get out of that. And then some people tell that and then say it that way because they really do for real interpret it that way. It's just that nobody else would see it that way. They have a skewed way of seeing things. I literally can't tell which of the two is true here. This is so convoluted that I almost can't tell. And it's quite possible that it started one way and ended up a different way. Like, started where I'm going to work these facts a little bit, to the point that I've worked these facts a little bit for so long that I for real fucking believe it. Like, I'm not entirely 100% sure on this. This is convoluted, but this is wild to me. Wow. So okay. So just gonna put this out there before I move on to the Perk Squad video to do the extended version of this. I feel like here on the main channel, we should at least ask here as a takeaway, should we be concerned? Like, I know we are concerned, but like, is there legitimate reason for like actual tangible concern of this getting to a point where it's like, the shoe's gonna drop or something like that. So I'm just gonna pull a couple of cards on that. As I go to do that, as always, if you'd like to book a private reading with me, you absolutely can. BeasTalksAndTarot.com for a private reading. Also have other things on there like Reiki Energy Healing, life coaching, and learning how to read the tarot the way that I read it. So BeasTalksAndTarot.com, you can find all of that on there. Just throwing that out there. Sometimes after readings like this, people want to talk about some other things about themselves and about stuff that we've already seen in some readings. And so, just putting it out there. But concern. Should we be? Let's just get, last couple of cards on that here. Okay. So we have a mix of some not so great and a mix of some buffer and cushion. So it's not all bad. For people who get like super, super anxious, it's not all bad. The decision card here. This is relating to a decision that's already been made. And this, with the Hierophant card, has to do with our institutions, our governments, things like that. And the Devil card in reverse is actually releasing something that is extremely scary, bad, toxic, unhealthy, etc. So what it's kind of looking like here is that there have already been decisions made on whether they're on Russia's end, on Ukraine's end, on our end in the States. Somehow, some way, there are already decisions made relative to governments and countries where this Devil card is in reverse, where they are like, this is how we're going to make sure that the worst case scenario can't happen. So it does look like there has been a lot of thought put into how to avoid worst case scenario. And that being able to avoid that is something that's already pretty set in stone and already in motion. So it looks like somehow, some kind of way, there is a clamp down on that, where it's like, even if certain entities might want to go closer in that direction, I'm not seeing that being the main primary outcome to come from this. I don't see that as being a high likelihood of the shit hitting the fan in the absolute worst way that, you know, our Mayday kind of scenario here. I'm not seeing that happen. I'm seeing there's a lot of forces at play and decisions that's already been made by very, very powerful entities to ensure we don't get to that point. So the primary, most likely, highest probability outcome looks like we can avoid that, which is good. It's just, you know how they say, the devil's in the details. So there could potentially be some loopholes around, like, well, yeah, maybe I can't make these catastrophes happen, but I can at least do X, Y, Z. Or I can, you know, in some kind of a way, feel like I get a win by doing this or whatever. So I see some sneaky backdoor ways of kind of people getting what they want without it going to that type of level. So that's what I'm seeing here. Based on these things, this is nuts. And before I even say based on these things, for those of you that feel like this was really heavy, like how I'm feeling like this was really heavy, as always, there are B-rolls at the end of these videos of like puppy shenanigans and stuff, little puppy things and whatever from my life that you can just watch and laugh at and kind of be like, okay, yeah, that's a nice way to end this. Put a smile on my face, lighthearted or whatever. I just want people to watch that so they can end on a lighthearted note. You know, it's not like I get any extra money for you watching B-rolls or anything like that. It's just that I want people to end kind of on light notes with heavy things like this. I just think that that's always a good way for videos to tie to a close. But the crazy thing about this in terms of pulling all of this into a loop, what we saw today about what Tucker was thinking and feeling allegedly, and about what Putin was thinking and feeling allegedly, there's a weird sense here in a way, in a, you know, and people could refute this description, absolutely, but in a way, whether it was intended or not, it's almost like they were both using each other. Like Tucker using Putin to do his personal professional things, Putin using Tucker to get what he wants out there because he thinks, oh, Tucker's not going to push back in ways that I can't control or ask questions that I can't control, or, you know, I can control this direction with Tucker or whatever, and I'm going to do this for what I need people to know and that kind of thing. So like we've got a really weird I use you, you use me kind of thing, and I don't know that that was necessarily planned. I don't know that that was necessarily conscious, but this whole thing has been wild to read. I just like, wow, this is just wow. So there's going to be an extended video to this where we're going to ask some more questions here about this. So again, if you'd like to see that, then head on over to the Perk Squad using the blue join button below or the link in the description box. For everyone else, the B-roll lightens things up, so watch the B-roll. And again, if you'd like a private reading with me, BeasTalksAndTarot.com to book a private reading. I hope everybody has a fabulous Valentine's Day for those who like to celebrate that. I tried to keep the levity here with that, knowing that it was going to be potentially a heavy or controversial reading today, and it is what it is. You know, these readings take a path of their own, and I follow where the guides lead, and so this is where we ended up. I am glad to see avoiding worst case scenarios potentially here. So let's take a peek at what else we can take a peek at over on the Perk Squad. And for everybody else, don't be a stranger. Come back and see me, and I will talk at you later. Bye, love you, minute. Bye, love you, minute. Bye, y'all. Yeah, rude. You bit her back leg. Of course she's gonna react. Stop chewing her back leg. Rude.